Hello, fifth graders. Welcome to your math lesson for today. As with days before, we have our same materials. You will need your 5A textbook, 5A workbook, your math resource binder, pencil and paper, or a whiteboard and a marker. And definitely you'll need a pencil one way or another because eventually we're going to be working together. So again, pause if you need to go get these things. Yesterday we were working on factors. Remember that a factor is a number that you could divide by and get a whole number without a remainder. So for our warm-up for today, I'm asking you to please pause as you list all the factors of 18. Once you are done doing that, press play and see how you did. Hopefully you remember, fifth graders, that our first step is to create our factor tree, okay? The first factor of any number is always going to be 1. And we want to create our factor pair. So 1 times what? 1 times 18, okay? We want to go in logical order, so we check 2 next, which we know 2 should be a factor because 18 is even, and even numbers are always divisible by 2. 2 times what is 18? 9. Next we check 3. 3 times 6 is 18. Next, we check 4. Either you know that fact or you do the division and you should learn that, nope, 18 is not divisible by 4 evenly. And finally, we can check 5. 18 does not end in a 0 or a 5, so it is not divisible by 5, and we've looped back to 6. So if we are listing, if we are listing our factors, we should have gotten 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. All right, fifth graders, our objective for today is going to be finding multiples. This word multiples kind of sounds like it has multiply in it. And so when we think about multiples, we want to think that it's going to get bigger, as if we're multiplying by a number. We're multiplying and it's getting bigger. So we're going to look in that math resource binder again. Remember that yesterday we looked at what is a factor. And on the bottom of those notes, you should see what is a multiple. We're going to look at those notes now. So what is a multiple? A multiple of a number is the result of multiplying that number by an integer or whole number. So this is really just like times tables or like skip counting, okay? So some multiples of 2, 2, 10, 8, 24. Okay, we can multiply 2 by something to get these. Here are some multiples of 3. We can multiply by 3 to get these. 3, 15, 30, 60, and 9. And then some multiples of 5. So if one number is a multiple of another, it will divide exactly with no remainder. So factors and multiples are kind of like the opposite, right? We have a factor is that you can divide to get that number. A multiple is that you can multiply to get that number, okay? So thinking about multiple and multiplying. So we are going to jump right in to our textbook. I'm going to ask you to open to page 18. And again, you want to be working along with me on paper or a whiteboard. If I'm doing it, you should be doing it with me as a part of our practice. Okay. We're going to start with number 6, where we're asked to list the first 12 multiples of 5. This is very much like skip counting, okay, or multiplying 5 by numbers and going up one at a time. So if we're going to list the first 12 multiples of 5, that means our answer we should have 12 numbers. So I'm going to start by making 10 spaces to make sure I have 12. So that's 6 so far. You could also just go and then count as you're going. That would be fine too. Now we can just multiply. 5 times 1 is 5. Now we're multiplying to find our multiples. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 4 is 20. Now, like I said, this is like skip counting. With our 5s, that might be something that you can do more readily. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Okay, and you can see if we went through this, this is 5 times 5, 5 times 6, 5 times 7, 5 times 8, 5 times 9, 5 times 10, 5 times 11, and 5 times 12. Okay, let's try one similar to that. Let's try list the first 12 multiples of 3. So again, you can make your spaces in advance, or you could just count as you're going. And now it's like skip counting or multiplying as we go. So 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 10 is 30. 3 times 11 is 33. 3 times 12 is 36. Would like you to try one on your own, please. I'm going to say list the first, let's say 8 multiples of 4. So since I'm asking for the first 8, you could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So go ahead and pause, list the first 8 multiples of 4, and then come back and see how you did. All right, 5th graders, I'm going to go pretty quickly because you should have already done this. So 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 7 is 28. And 4 times 8 is 32. How'd you do? Hopefully you guys did great. Okay, now question 7 is asking us, is 48 a common multiple of 6 and 8? In other words, can I multiply 6 by something to get to 48? And can I multiply 8 by something to get to 48? We're looking kind of for factor pairs in this case. And hopefully our math facts are feeling pretty fresh for us to think about this. So 6 times what would get us 48? Is there an answer that would get us 48? And the correct answer is 8. 6 times 8 is 48. Well, look at that, which means that 8 times what is 48? These are a factor pair that goes together. So is 48 a common factor? Yeah. Both of these numbers you can multiply to get to 48, which means that 48 is a multiple of each of them. All right, this next part, we're trying to find a common multiple. Okay, it's not telling you to do the least common multiple, just a multiple. So if you're, my rule for you, or my hint for you, I guess, is that if you're trying to find a common multiple, start with the larger number, okay? And list a few of the multiples of the larger number. So start with 8, for instance, okay? So 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 5 is 40. We're going to stop there. Now we're looking at multiples of 5. So you can list your multiples of 5, okay, which is great. Or you can think about what we know about multiples of 5 that I've been talking about today. Multiples of 5 always end in 0 or 5. Remember, multiples of 5 will always end in 0 or 5. So as we look at this list, if any of these numbers are going to be a multiple of 5, they have to end in 0 or 5, which means that 8 cannot be a multiple of 5, nor can 16 or 24 or 32. However, 40 ends in 0, which means that 40 is a multiple of 5. So what is a common multiple of 5 and 8? It's 40. Let's try another one. Let's say, what is a common multiple of 4 and 12? That's going to be a little bit too easy, but that's fine. So remember what I said. We're going to list a few of our multiples of the larger number. So we want to start with 12 because it's larger, okay? So 12 times 1 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. 12 times 3 is 36. And 12 times 4 is 48. Okay, once you do 3 or 4 of the larger ones, I'd say stop there just to see how you're doing. Now we're going to start listing some multiples of our smaller number, and as soon as you see one that is up here, stop. So 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 12. 12. What is a common multiple between 4 and 12? 12. And I wouldn't even go on to that last one. Once you have one, stop. So I'm going to have you guys try. Let's see. Find a common multiple of, let's say, 6 and 8. Okay? Remember, you're wanting to start with the larger number and list those. And once you do a few, go back and go to that smaller number. So pause, find a common multiple, and when you've got one, come on back and see how you did. So first, you should have been listing your multiples of 8. 8 times 2 is 16, times 3 is 24, times 4 is 32. So then you go back with 6. 6, 12, 18, 24. So our common multiple is 24. How'd we do? All right. 9 asks us to give a common multiple of 3, 4, and 9. So I'm going to move the textbook aside so there's a little more space. Same rules apply. Start with our bigger number and list a few of those. So 9, 18, 27, 36. Now, I would go to the next one. 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6 is 24. Nothing in common yet. 4 times 7 is 28. 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 9 is 36. Okay. So far, we see that 36 is in common. So now, yes to these two, but we still have to check about 3. So you can do what we've been doing, which is listing, listing, listing. Or if we're checking 36, that's the number in question, a quick way to check it would be to check, can I divide 36 by 3? And maybe you can see already that, yeah, you can. So is 36 a fact or a multiple of 3? And the answer is yeah, we see it is right there. So what's our common multiple of these 3 numbers? 36. Okay, 5th graders, let's see. We are going to go into, for a little bit of practice, I want you to open your textbook, or workbooks, excuse me, your workbooks to page 13. And we're going to work through a couple of these together. So again, you should be working in your workbook along with me. So we're being told that this number is between 20 and 40. And then we also know that it's a multiple of 5. Okay, so that's our first clue. I am between 20 and 40, and I'm a multiple of 5. We know that multiples of 5 have to end in a 5 or a 0. So our options based on these pieces of information is, if it's a multiple of 5, and between these two numbers, it could be 25, it could be 30, it could be 35. Okay. We're also told that I'm a factor of 60. In other words, you can divide by this number, 60 by this number, and get an even answer. So we want to ask ourselves, can we divide 60 by 25? Can we divide 60 by 30? Can we divide 60 by 35? If we think about money, 25, we should be able to count in terms of quarters, right? 25 cents. So it goes 25, 50, 75, 100. So is 60 one of those numbers? No, 60 is not divisible by 25. 60, is it divisible by 30? And the answer is yeah. 60 divided by 30 is 2. So what number am I? The correct answer would be 30 for part A. Remember, you should be working along with me. I am smaller than 80. I am a common multiple of 8 and 10. We did something just like this. So let's start with the second part. I am a common multiple. So we want to list some multiples of our larger number. This is 10, so we should be able to count pretty quickly. We're going to stop at 70 because it's smaller than 80. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Now we look at our 8s, and we're going to list some of those. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 5 is 40. So what is 40 smaller than 80? Yep. And is it a common multiple of 8 and 10? Yes. So our correct answer for part B is 40. Finally, we're going to skip C and go on to D. I want you guys to pause and try D on your own. So don't do C. We're going to go on to D, and I want you to try it on your own. Remember what we just practiced. You want to start with 7, list some multiples, and then check with 4 and 2. So pause, and when you're done, come on back and see how you did. So if you listed your multiples correctly, you should have, oops, not 47, 42. These are your first 6 multiples of 7. So now you can kind of take a look and see. We know if 2 is one of the multiples, it's not going to be any of our odd numbers. Okay, that's not divisible by 2. These are all divisible by 2. So now we want to check, are they divisible by 4? So can I divide 14 by 4? Not evenly. Can I divide 28 by 4? The correct answer is yes, I can. 28 divided by 4 is 7. So our correct answer here is 28. This is our least common multiple, okay? You could go higher than that, but this would be our least common multiple. All right, 5th graders. So I'm going to post a couple of Practice, again, practice problems for you. These are for you to do, to test yourself, do the work, check with your key. Again, use the key to help you. The goal is to see, am I getting these correct, or do I need to learn a little bit more? Maybe you have to rewatch the video, maybe do some more practice, or maybe seek out some help during office hours, okay? So once you have done the practice and you feel confident, then you're going to move on to the homework, which will also be attached. When you're done with that homework, which you're going to do on a separate piece of paper, you're going to, again, take a picture and submit it. Remember your ABCs. Is it all in the picture? Is it bright enough, close enough, and still enough? Fifth graders, good luck. Ask for help if you're feeling confused. Come see us during office hours, or ask to come see me during office hours. And I can't wait to see how you do.